In relationships where tension feels constant, you might find yourself trapped in a cycle of unnecessary apologies. You're saying sorry for things you never did wrong, taking responsibility for emotions that aren't truly yours to carry. When she's upset, it somehow becomes your fault, and you adapt your every move, tiptoeing through fragile moments just to avoid the storm. This exhausting pattern of walking on eggshells erodes your peace and sense of self. But why does this happen? Why do some men fall into this spiral of emotional submission while others don't? The answer lies deeper than surface behavior. It's a matter of unspoken psychological dynamics, born not from malice, but from conditioned responses, patterns cultivated over time by both partners, often without awareness. The manipulation you experience was not chosen by her alone. It was cultivated by your own choices, how you reacted, what you tolerated, and what you failed to enforce. Think back to every moment you sacrificed your dignity to keep calm, every ignored warning sign, every time you excused her worst moments with your best efforts. In these moments, you wrote the unintentional manual for manipulation. Each act of surrender taught her exactly how far she could push, how much control she could exert, and how much you would accept. But this cycle can be broken. There is a science and art to understanding the subtle ways manipulation operates, especially how it preys on certain psychological traits. This is not a vague theory, but a concrete map that reveals why women manipulate particular men, and crucially, how you can build an unshakable shield against it. Women do not manipulate indiscriminately. They instinctively select men whose vulnerabilities fit their needs. If you find yourself manipulated, it means you possess characteristics that make you a prime target. Let's explore these traits, not as condemnations, but as insights on what to transform. There's the man enchanted by beauty, so captivated by her physical appearance that his judgment clouds. For the beauty worshiper, attraction becomes a double-edged sword. The moment a woman senses that her looks dictate your decisions, she gains quiet influence. But men who appreciate her deeper essence, those who see beyond the surface, are met with respect rather than exploitation. Then there is the boundary ghost. This man senses disrespect, but remains silent. He values peace over honor, choosing to absorb violation rather than confront it. Women instinctively test limits early on. Failure to respond firmly signals that manipulation will be met with compliance, inviting further boundary crossing. Next is the validation seeker. His sense of self is tethered tightly to her approval. He needs her affirmation to feel worthy, making her the emotional authority in the relationship. Desperation is a form of weakness that manipulation exploits effortlessly. Lastly, the conflict avoider. This man fears disagreement so deeply that he sacrifices dignity to avoid it. To him, peace means silence in the face of disrespect. However, attraction withers when a man refuses to claim his voice. Weakness repels. Strength draws. If you see parts of yourself in these portraits, recognize this: you are not flawed by nature. Rather, your psychological framework has been shaped by patterns that can be dismantled and rebuilt. Understanding these archetypes is the first step toward reclaiming control and respect. This process requires courage, a commitment to rewriting your internal narrative and establishing unbreakable boundaries. It demands that you shift from passive compliance to active self-respect, from insecurity to confident autonomy. The transformation is profound. No longer will you be a quiet participant in your own psychological unraveling. Instead, You will emerge as a man who commands respect, who cannot be manipulated because his foundation is unshakable. This is your path out of emotional subjugation and into true personal power. From the very first moments, she reveals who she truly is, not through grand declarations, but through subtle actions and patterns quietly unfolding before your eyes. Yet, time and again, you look away. You choose to ignore the small alarms that stir unease deep inside. This avoidance is a dangerous gamble, one that costs you clarity, peace, and ultimately respect. True wisdom begins with honest observation. Take a moment and begin cataloging every behavior that unsettles you. Don't dismiss these feelings as oversensitivity or misunderstandings. Instead, write them down with the seriousness they deserve. Each slight, each disrespectful act, each boundary crossed is a thread in a larger tapestry, one that tells a story you must not ignore. When she disparages her past lovers, it is a mirror reflecting a possible future, how she may one day speak of you with the same ease. When she routinely cancels plans without regard for your time, it reveals a disregard for your presence in her life. When she flirts with others within your sight, she tests the limits of your tolerance, daring you to respond. The question is, how will you respond? Clarity is your strongest weapon. When you witness behavior that feels wrong, do not soften your message with apologies or lengthy explanations. Simply state your truth. I am not comfortable with that. These words, spoken firmly and without hesitation, become a boundary set in stone. Her reaction to this moment of clarity is the true revelation. It shows who she is when confronted with your limits. Manipulation takes root only when there are no consequences to misbehavior. If you have repeatedly tolerated disrespect, rewarding bad conduct with your patience or affection, you have unknowingly invited it to continue. The balance of power shifts only when consequences are swift, clear, and unwavering. Define what you will no longer accept. Put it into words and make it real. These are your non-negotiables, and they must be upheld with consistency. When a boundary is crossed, respond with immediate action. Withdraw your attention, your presence, your energy. Do not delay or make exceptions. Imagine the power of this approach in practice. She speaks harshly of you in front of others. Without a second thought, you walk away. She tries to drown her guilt in tears, attempting to soften the blow of her mistakes. You remain steady, unmoved by manipulation. She offers intimacy as a way to dodge responsibility. You hold firm, uninterested in excuses. When her anger rises and your voice is met with hostility, you leave the room calmly, protecting your dignity. Last-minute cancellations are met with you making your own plans, no longer waiting or hoping for rescheduling. Attempts to guilt you into submission end with you ending the conversation. No engagement, no argument. This is not an act of cruelty, but a declaration of self-respect. Your voice should be calm, measured, free of anger or pleading. It is the voice of a man who knows his worth and refuses to negotiate it away. This journey towards setting and enforcing boundaries is not merely about changing her behavior. It is about transforming your own relationship with yourself. It is about stepping out of the shadows of doubt and into the light of personal sovereignty. The power lies in consistency. Over time, your steadfastness teaches what words alone never could, that your respect must be earned, not taken for granted. And in this truth, you reclaim not just control over the relationship, but over your own peace of mind. You weren't born afraid to set boundaries. You learned it. Somewhere in your early years, the idea settled in that love must be earned through endurance, that affection was conditional, that silence kept you safe. Maybe your mother's moods taught you to measure every word. Maybe conflict felt like danger. So you adapted by becoming agreeable, tolerant, invisible. You mistook peace for love. But now, that survival strategy is sabotaging your adult life. You keep absorbing behavior that chips away at your dignity. You think enduring it will buy you loyalty, but it doesn't. Women do not admire the man who tolerates disrespect. They grow indifferent to him. Eventually, they lose all desire for him. This is why you must stop negotiating with disrespect. No speeches, no warnings, no emotional bargains. When a line is crossed, the consequence must arrive like clockwork, immediate, firm, silent. Right now, you're carrying emotions that don't belong to you. Her moods, her chaos, her dissatisfaction. You've made yourself her emotional caretaker, her steady ground, her punching bag, her therapist. But that role is not yours. You are not responsible for her peace, and you're not obligated to fix what you didn't break. When she unravels, stay grounded. When she lashes out, stay calm. When she pulls you into her emotional spiral, step back. Not cold, not cruel, just anchored. Let her own her feelings. And when she tries to hand them to you, say, "I hear that you're upset. What do you plan to do about it?" Then return to your life. Let her carry her own storm. You've been offering full presence in exchange for half effort. You've been loyal to someone who treats you like an option. That ends here. List what you bring to the table, honestly. Then look at what she brings. No illusions, just truth. If the scale tilts, adjust. Match her energy. Nothing more. If she's distant, you create space. If she stops showing up, you stop waiting. If she lowers the bar, you stop exceeding it. It's not punishment. It's self-respect. Stop over-giving where you're under-receiving. Balance the equation. Pause for a moment and ask yourself a simple question. If someone I care about were being treated the way I'm being treated right now, what would I advise them to do? The answer will come easily. The hard part is applying it to yourself. When it's your own heart on the line, your clarity becomes clouded by emotion. But this is where real self-respect is forged. Not in abstract ideas, but in the courage to act on what you already know to be true. You need immovable boundaries, not soft preferences, not emotional negotiations, but clear, unwavering standards. Rules that apply regardless of how much you want her, how attracted you are, or how long you've been together. Because if your lines shift every time she crosses them, then you don't have boundaries, you have wishes. Write down your non-negotiables. Not someday, now. Name them, define them, own them. These are the 5 pillars that no woman should ever be allowed to violate. Respectful communication. No yelling, no name calling, no mocking you in front of others for sport. Loyalty, not just physical exclusivity, but emotional integrity. No secret messages, no flirty connections with other men kept just in case. Consideration, your time matters, your energy matters. Broken promises and chronic lateness are not minor slips. They're messages about your value in her world. Reciprocity. Relationships are partnerships, not performances. If you're giving 90% and receiving 20%, it's not noble. It's self-betrayal, mutual growth. When conflict arises, does she seek solutions or scapegoats? Does she evolve or accuse? You're not here to be her emotional punching bag. Once your standards are clear, speak them, not as demands, but as declarations of self-worth. Let your message be calm, but firm. These are not preferences. These are not openings for debate. These are the conditions under which I remain in someone's life. If you can't meet them, we are not a match. What happens next is predictable and powerful. First comes the test. When you begin holding the line, she will push harder. The manipulation will spike. The drama will rise. She will try everything she can to pull you back into your old role, the agreeable, flexible version of you who tolerated more than he should. This is not failure. This is the threshold. Stay still, stay silent. Let your consistency speak for you. Then comes the shift. Her old tactics will stop working. You'll witness one of two things, either genuine change, real effort, real respect, or the unmasking of who she truly is beneath the charm. If her connection to you was built on control, she will vanish, not because you failed, but because she can no longer use you. But if she stays and adapts, something new is born. A dynamic based not on fear or performance, but on respect. She will see you differently. She will feel the weight of your boundaries, and she will understand, consciously or not, that poor behavior now comes with real consequences. You no longer teach her with your words. You teach her with your unwavering presence or absence. Yet not every woman will change. Some won't evolve. Some will push harder. They will accuse you of being cold, rigid, or unloving. They will weaponize guilt. They will provoke chaos. But they're not challenging your standards. They're challenging your identity. And this is the moment of truth, not just for her, but for you. Will you trade your peace for her approval? Or will you choose the difficult path of self-loyalty, even if it means walking away? The answer to that question is what determines whether you remain trapped in the loop or rise above it. You already know where this is heading. Keep justifying her behavior, and 5 years from now, you'll be a ghost of yourself, tiptoeing through life, anticipating her moods, silencing your own. You'll master the art of emotional self-erasure. You'll trade your voice for her validation, and still, she won't be satisfied. You'll call it love, but it will feel like quiet resignation. You'll lose touch with the things that once made you feel alive. The friends, the goals, the spark. You'll shrink so she can feel big. You'll bend so she doesn't break. And in that process, your self-respect will dissolve. Not overnight, but piece by piece, until even basic respect feels like a gift. The truth? A woman who manipulates you won't keep admiring you. She'll study you, control you, then resent you. Because the man who submits to control stops being desirable. You'll end up in a psychological loop you can't escape. And the worst part? You'll be the one holding the key and choosing not to use it. So start with one act of clarity. Pick a behavior you've tolerated but can't respect. Set a line. Deliver it calmly, directly. The next time it happens, respond with action. No speeches, no arguments, no compromises, just action. Observe everything, her reaction, your reaction, what shifts. It'll tell you everything. Because when a woman respects you, she respects your boundaries. And if she fights them, she was never respecting you to begin with. So choose. Stay in the cycle or break it. Keep accepting crumbs or demand the meal. Your future self is watching. Don't betray him. If this exploration has stirred something within you, share your thoughts in the comments or simply your presence. Thank you for walking this path with us today. If this journey has stirred something within you, reflection, awareness, even clarity. Know that you are not alone. Until next time, take care of your energy and honor your intuition.